or subscribe online at www.radiopulpit.co.za. Radio Pulpit, your daily companion.
You are on Radio Pulpit, your daily companion. Gave you the sounds of King D Music. King D Music is not alone there. He is featuring Terrain, and the title of the song is Worry About Nothing. So beautiful for a Friday song. 13 minutes it is, just after 12 on 657 a.m. And at this moment in time, I am joined by our tech specialist, Patricia Khomani. You can't hear me. Hey, and let's see if everything is... Can you hear me now? Okay, let's sort it out. And then come back to you. Ukom, why Patricia ngangizwa?
Plug in, feel the pulse on Heart to Heart with Sibongile Mofokeng on Radio Pulpit.
Thank you, Vusi. Thank you, Ntlantla. Now we are back on air. Gave you the sounds of Nicole C. Marlin, and the title of the song is Redeemer. And before that, it was, of course, a song coming there from CRC Music, Making Rivers. And in studio Egesnia Lun, I am with our queen on the other side, the text specialist, talking about Patricia Khomani. How are you?
I can't hear you.
She can't hear me again. All right, let's do this. And we are going to continue with her. So today we are talking about the budget speech that we've had on the 12th. We've had Se Godongwana, our minister, talking about the budget. He gave us the 2025 budget speech, and this is where we're going. How are you, my queen? Now you can hear me.
Now I can hear
I saw you
and
went
I'm
like...
so happy.
And you have never been tried like that before.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, it has to be the budget.
It is. We blame it on the budget.
It's that 0.5%.
But blaming it on the budget. But now, this budget, is it final?
It is proposed budget.
Okay.
So usually in the previous years would automatically assume that it's final since we only had one party which was in control of the government, being ANC, right? Now with the GNU in play, it's a different scenario altogether. So what the minister did is he went to propose the budget. So consider the government of South Africa as a business, right? So South Africa is the business. The parliament is the board of directors, right?
Okay.
The board of minister is the CFO of the company.
Yeah.
The CFO of the company goes to the directors to present a budget. Then the directors have to decide, do we accept the budget or not?
Okay.
If they say yes, great, everything is done. You go back and tell the departments, this is the numbers that we'll be dealing with, right? If they say we're not happy with this, then you have to go, either change everything or change that one specific thing that they're not happy with, right? So in this regard, what they did is DA has said that they're not necessarily happy with the VAT increase, and we're now waiting for everybody within the GNU to be on one accord for them to say, okay, fine, we have approved this. So that would be the same as the board of directors saying that we have approved this. Currently, we don't have that at this moment. So the budget is not final. It's not approved yet. It's a proposed budget. And hopefully, I'm not sure when they're going to approve the budget, but hopefully we should have the approved budget by the 1st of April. I hope we should have the approved budget by the 1st of April.
Okay, but I've seen there's a lot of questions around the budget even now. Remember, we were coming in, we were going to have this discussion with you.
Yeah.
We had to pause
Yes.
because it had to go back.
Exactly.
Yeah, and be redone or whatever.
Yeah.
So now we are here again and we have to wait until?
We have no idea. But hopefully, I'm hoping, right, that it should be by the 1st of April, or at least before then. Because remember, on the proposed budget, it says the 0.5% increase of VAT is effective of the 1st of April. So we would need to know the response of what exactly is the final numbers, at least before then, for everybody then to know. Because this really has a ripple effect. You need to tell your clients that we're increasing the VAT, right?
Hey.
So then what does that mean? Do we wait? Or do we
Until-
inform the clients now in advance just in case?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. All righty then. But what are the highlights of the budget?
The highlights of the budget, I guess we've already mentioned the elephant in the room. I would say that was the bride of the budget. The VAT increase of the 0.5 from the 1st of April, right? And the next year, it will be 16% from it's from the 1st of May. I stand corrected. The 0.5 is an increase from the 1st of May this year. And then 16% in the 1st of April next year. So that's one. The second one would be that there hasn't been any changes on the tax brackets, the tax rebates for individuals. So that has remained the same. There hasn't been any changes on the tax rates for the corporate tax, so it's still 27%. That's good. But there hasn't been increases on the small business corporation tax brackets as well, which we would have loved to see at least an increase there, right? Because then that would have meant that
So are we saying it's a good thing?
for the small business corporation, I would say no, it's not a good thing. I would have loved if it had increased because, so for example, currently, right, if a small business makes a profit of 97,000 Rand, there's no tax on that. If they had increased the bracket, it would have simply mean that maybe if you're now making a profit of 150,000 Rand, there's no tax on that. So that would be beneficial for the small businesses because that means there's now more cash flow in the business. There has been an inflation increase on the transfer duty. So meaning that when you purchase a property, right, previously or currently, if you buy a property of about 1.1 million Rand, there's no transfer duty on that. They've increased that based with the inflation rate to 1.2 million.
Okay.
Right? So if you buy a property of 1.2 million Rand or less, you don't have to pay transfer duty. I would say for me, those are the highlights. And of course, the highlight for almost everybody in South Africa, the excise duty, which has been increased by 6 point, I think it's 6.75.
But are we all excited by that?
The majority will be excited by that. So the people who would be excited by that would be the government, obviously, because that means more money is coming in, because majority does buy alcohol in one form or another. But of course, the majority won't be happy. Cause what does that mean for was a Friday for many people, you know? But yeah, those would be the highlights.
So talking about even the tax brackets that have been mentioned, there's also a personal tax that you spoke about.
Yeah.
So is it a good thing that it remains the same?
No.
When we're looking at that?
No.
Okay.
So for the individuals, it's not a good thing. What would usually happen would be they would increase the bracket to bring in inflation into play, right? Because right now, remember, because of inflation, my 1 Rand today is not the same as tomorrow, the value of the 1 Rand, right?
Yeah.
So the power that I can use it in terms of buying food or buying whatever, the buying power is not the same. So when they increase the bracket, it allows me to pay, inverted commas, less taxes, right? Which then gives me a higher net pay going home. So I'll give you an example. The tax bracket has remained the same, right? So meaning that somebody who was receiving 19,000 Rand, 750 Rand per month, which was the highest that you could receive in the 18% bracket, was paying 18%, right? If that salary has increased by 4%, which is more or less the inflation, that person is now earning 20,000. That automatically pushes that person to 21% tax bracket. All right? Because the tax brackets, there hasn't been that adjusted of the inflation rate, but your salary has had that adjustment. So you might now be pushed to a different tax bracket quicker, meaning
And
that
you
your
still
net pay
don't.
is less. Yeah.
Okay. Budget this is a family member. Budget, it was not roaring, it was weeping.
Yes.
Please think. Okay, I don't want to laugh because there's another sentence that comes.
Yeah.
Please think on the small voice of the poor who already have very little. 150 children died during, let's go and show more. During 2023, 2024 due to the malnutrition. VAT increase must not be.
And that's the thing. So the thing with VAT is it literally affects everybody, right? So if we start from the supply chain, let's say I, Patricia, have a spaza shop, right, in Soweto. But I'm a VAT vendor, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm not a VAT vendor. Doesn't really matter. Now the VAT has increased by 0.5. Everything that I'm buying has gone up by at least 0.5, right? That means I need to ensure that I get that money somehow. I'm going to increase my prices. If I'm a VAT vendor, automatically that means my prices will increase by 0.5%. If I'm not a VAT vendor, then I might increase my prices because then I need to find a way of getting that money back, right? Who does that affect? It affects the person in the streets, right? Now we've got your tax bracket that hasn't changed. So already that money is less,
Yeah.
right? But then you're already paying more forget the increases. You're already just paying more on the 5% of that. So I completely agree. It really is not. It's not an ideal situation. But I guess I also being
Can
a
we
devil's
survive?
advocate.
Well, as South African, okay, all right. Yeah, you can't be. We can't say that.
Yeah.
No, you can't. We can't put you in that bracket. But can the country even survive without increasing the VAT?
In a perfect world, yes.
That's where I'm coming
Yeah.
to. You know.
In a perfect world, yes. Currently, the reality is no, right? Because SARS is generating a lot of money. That's true. But where is the majority going? So it goes back to the whole expenses. Where is the majority going? South Africa owes a lot of money. A chunk of that is already going to interest by repaying the loan, right? And then, unfortunately, there is a lot of mismanagement, right? Which leaves then a small amount to just deal with what they were supposed to deal with. So if the mismanagement has been dealt with, if the debt has been, or it's less than what it currently is, right? If, which is something that I know most of us don't want to hear, if everybody's actually compliant, then yes, South Africa would survive without the VAT increase. So there's those three factors. It's the fact that there's the mismanagement, there's the debt, and the reality of that there is actually a non-compliance issue right now when it comes to SARS and taxes.
So the final, we'll hear it very soon. What the final will be.
Hopefully. But I don't think it'll change.
Yeah. Okay. Mara, we see your concerns there as well. Do you remember that Patricia is our tech specialist? She's just making sure that she makes everything clear to us of what's happening with the budget speech. And I know that we are not the only ones who are talking about this, but the world is South Africa is talking. So she's more concerned about the unemployed. We have children and 60% of our youth with no work as well. Yeah, those are the concerns that she's raising.
Look, I think, and you're right, there's a lot of people who are actually having this discussion right now, right? And more probably we'll have it for a while, you know?
Yeah.
But we also have to look at, we're in this situation, so what do we do, right? I personally don't think there's going to be change on that VAT. If there is, most probably it's just going to be deferred, meaning that there might be no VAT increase this year, but it's surely going to come back next year.
Yeah, it's still, it will come.
It will come.
Yeah,
right?
Even if this year we just, going to remain at 14?
15.
Is it 15 now? 15. Yes, it's 15. So we're going to remain there, but we can't guarantee.
You can't guarantee.
Okay.
So what then we need to consider is then how can...
See, I'm so old that I stayed on 14 when everybody else was on 15. Yeah.
So we need to look at how can we then deal with the situation, right?
Okay.
I agree that there is a huge unemployment, but we've been knocking on the government and we've been expecting them and we should hold them more accountable, but we haven't really seen the results that we want. So then we need to find out how can then we deal with it. That's where the small business comes in. You know, us supporting the small businesses, right? The small business in your neighborhood, right? Instead of saying, no, I'm going to get this for free. Because now if you keep getting everything for free, that person can never employ somebody else.
Okay.
But if that small business is actually growing, there's employment that is happening. So now imagine there is a Sibongile in every street doing something. And every Sibongile is able to hire at least 2 people, right? We're already increasing that unemployment. So I think we currently at the moment, we have no choice but to now start looking at what can we do to actually bring this change.
So this is where the small businesses can take advantage.
This is where the small business can take advantage. Because remember on the budget, it says that there was at least 1 trillion, if I remember correctly, for the next 3 years budgeted for infrastructures. So now you can say, how can we, the small businesses, find ourselves within that 1 trillion to get that chunk of that 1 trillion? If it's infrastructure, let's say construction, most probably they might get the bigger guys, right? So how can I, a smaller company, collaborate with that bigger company so that the tender, I also get a portion? If I am the mama who sells amagwinyi and stuff, how do I find myself in those construction sites? Because those guys are hungry. And those guys love our African food, right? They won't eat papa and stuff like that. So how can I find myself in those places, areas, so that then I can sell the food? And then there's things like stationery and etc. that they need for tendering as well, right? How do then I get myself into that? So meaning that other than looking to one another, right? Patricia buying from Sibongile, how can now Patricia extend and say, how do I get that 1 million, right? Because if I get that 1 million, by default, the capacity might not be enough for me. I might have to employ other people.
Okay. So you spoke about compliance earlier on as well, that it
Yeah.
has been affected. So how has now non-compliance, how is it now affected by the budget itself?
Sure. So on the budget, they've allocated, I think, about 7 million, but would say 3 million for now, right? And with that money, they're expecting that SARS will utilize it in a way that they revamp their situation so that they can ensure compliance even at a higher scale.
Okay.
We saw last year how they were head on with compliance, right?
Yeah.
With the penalties
Yeah.
and etc.
Yeah.
So with those funds in place,
Don't even remind me, because I'm in somewhere in the list.
so
Yeah.
with those funds in place, it means that they will be able to polish up areas that they couldn't. But it now also means that they'll be able to tackle other taxes in terms of non-compliance that they didn't. I'll give an example. Apparently, there's about 160,000 people who have not submitted their tax returns, but their income shows that they should be submitting tax returns. Already, those will be targets, right? There's trusts that have not been registered for income tax. And these trusts, you might find that they've been in existence for over 20 years, right? SARS is coming after those trusts, right? So, but just these two, there's already penalties that SARS can generate from this.
And we're looking
right?
at millions.
Yeah. There is interest that SARS can get, because remember, it's now backdated. If it happens that those people had to pay taxes and they didn't, there's now interest being charged. SARS might get money from that. And obviously, they'll get money from the taxes. So that's one thing. The other thing that they can look at into compliance would be rent, right? Most of us do have side hustle of rent, but then we
Yes.
receive cash, so we don't declare it, right? And you might have 2 properties or 3, but now what SARS is doing is they're actually looking at the system to see how many properties does each person have. If you've got 2 properties, have you been declaring the other rental income? And most probably you might say, no, but then there's no need for me to declare because my cousin stays there, so I don't charge them. SARS will be like, okay, cool. There's something called donations tax. What you're doing right now is donating to your cousin, right? And we can charge you donations tax on that. So I think this is where we're actually going to get to when it comes to compliance. They will literally look at all types of taxes that they haven't been looking at in the past.
So a family member heard us talking about the 14% VAT and 15%. She's like, or he's like, when did it become 15? I also believed it was 14.
It changed in 2018.
Hey, you see, I guess because of COVID, we kind of went.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Let's take a break and then come back to talk some more about SARS, because you are on SARS right now, and the non-compliance that is taking place. But we are going to come back and talk a little bit more about that. And family, you can talk to us with our tech specialist in the studio. Do you remember, she doesn't represent the government? No. But making sure that you get all the information, you understand what the budget is all about. And we're coming back, giving you the sounds of Mahadi Abukanen. You love me.
Find out more about Radio Pulpit. Download the Bible to your cell phone. Read Word for Today. And you can listen to us online. Just visit www.radiopulpit.co.za. Especially developed for your cell phone. Radio Pulpit, your daily companion.
This is Heart to Heart with Sibongile Mofokeng on Radio Pulpit. Heart to Heart.
That was Mahalia Buchanan, You Love Me. And I am so amazed. I heard you singing. I didn't know you can sing. Our tech specialist can sing.
No comment.
Oh, my. And you are with me, Sibongile Mofokeng, with you up until 3 o'clock right here on 657 AM. I'm not alone. I'm with our tech specialist talking to Patricia Khomani from PK Consultancy. And for any text things, any text issues, you can talk to her.
Yes.
And I see a family member says, what about SASSA pensioners who died during COVID? Payments still monthly paid to their accounts unclaimed. SARS records are not up to date. Hey, SARS will kill us if we would say that because they're doing everything they can to try. But it's time for cleanup. I agree.
Definitely.
Time for cleanup from government and everywhere. But we are not there. We are concentrating on this budget that was given on the 12th by our Minister of Finance, Sir Kodongwana. He was the one giving us this budget. So as we were talking about SARS, the other question that's there is that are there any ways that SARS can or might get more of the taxes from the taxpayers with the 3 million rands that is allocated to them on the budget?
Yeah, so it would be what we're discussing, right? When them actually ensuring that wherever there's the non-compliant, they deal with that. So if we go back to the example that I mentioned, if you've got a property and you're not declaring that rental income, right? SARS is actually dealing through to see which people have more than one property and do they declare any income, right? So if you do have income and you're not declaring, then that's a non-compliance issue, right? If it happens that you do have 2 properties or more, but your family members are staying there, then SARS can say, okay, fine. But then if that family member was not staying in that property, somebody else was going to be in that property and that person was going to pay rent. So what you're actually doing is donating to them. You're donating rental income to them. Mm-hmm. Therefore, we can charge you donations tax. So that's another way for them to get the taxes. It's going to be SARS literally ensuring that they enforce non-compliance in any element. So meaning that from the income tax, from the VAT, pay as you earn, registration of trust, and so forth. When SARS does that, there will be more than enough taxes that will be coming through. And unfortunately, most of the things that I've just mentioned now literally deal with individuals, right? So the non-compliance element might actually affect individuals more than what they're expecting.
So, as Mara said, the GoGos, the SASAs, the pension funds, and what does that all of that mean for somebody who's on the street?
So for that,
because it's like basically what they are talking about. Yeah. Somebody who's on the street.
Yes, and that's true, right? But remember, the government or the institution that deals with SASSA is not SARS, right? That's a separate institution altogether. And they have to ensure that they deal with that in the sense of ensuring that the people who's supposed to get paid gets paid, ensuring that the people who have are no longer in existence, they remove them from the database, right? Because then the question should be asked, where's the money then going to? Right? If the person is no longer alive.
Yeah, who's receiving
the money?
Because somebody is surely
receiving it. And if it's going to a bank account, then why didn't the bank close the bank account?
Because it automatically reports Home Affairs. Yes. It goes down. Yeah.
So that's a bigger issue than just SARS when it comes to something like that. And when it comes to SARS records not being up to date, let's just say SARS are really trying their best for them to be up to date.
No, we can't say that.
Right? And when that happens, I don't think most of us will actually be as happy as we think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everything then will come to the light.
Everything does come to the light. What do we say in closure?
I think in closure will be what I mentioned earlier. Granted, the budget is not what we would have hoped for when it comes to the VAT increase. But then now we just have to look at how do we then deal with the money that we've got, right? So that then it can stretch. What other opportunities can we find? Can we get side hustles, that can help us?
But also remember there's tax, ne? Right on that side hustle.
There's tax right on that side hustle, true.
Depending, yes.
Depending, yeah. So that
Not
one is
automatic.
It's not automatic, yes. But we just have to find a way to deal with the situation. And I guess maybe increase our opinion since it's a proposal budget. It's not finalized yet. So who knows? Maybe that can count for something.
Never be quiet.
Never be quiet.
Yeah, if there is a body that says, no, we are counter-attacking or whatever,
Yeah.
counter-proposing or whatever that they're doing, be involved in that.
Be involved in that.
Yeah, because it doesn't help. Right now, we are surprised by the 15%. And it already took place like...
And now we're talking about 0.5 extra.
We are born.
15.5.
We are born. So let us be clued up. And thank you so much for making the budget simple for us to
You're
understand and allowing us to even probe there and there.
Yeah.
But you are a tech specialist, and some of us now, as you've spoken about SARS, we've received emails and all that. We need somebody who can clarify matters, somebody who can help us hold our hand. How do we get a hold of NPK Consultancy?
So you can either contact us on 011 702 8140. You can email us on info@npkconsultancy.co.za. We've got a new WhatsApp number. Let me just give it to you. I just have to look at it. I don't know it off by heart.
Yeah, we need that because Rona, we're still holding on to the old.
So that one is 082 430 4540.
Can you say it a little slower?
082 430 4540.
All righty then. My queen, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
coming through and talking to us about this. This is like really exciting. Always awesome to be talking to you in a studio. We know we're learning something. So family, do not forget that WhatsApp number 082 430 and
4540.
Yeah. Okay. This 5 doesn't want a 5, when you're trying to 5. So it's 082 430 4540.
Correct.
And that is the NPK WhatsApp number. Alternatively, on their site, NPK Consultancy, on Facebook, on everywhere on social
NPK
media platforms.
Consultancy.
Yeah, bo. Thank you so much.
Thank
May
you for
God
having me.
awesomely bless you.
Amen.